This news update is brought to you by...
Say hello to Carol. Carol talks for a living, from morning till night. So she relies on Flo's crystal clear home phone service brought to her through Flo's 100% fiber to the home network. It keeps her in the know, and because she bundles her mobile broadband and TV services, she enjoys huge savings, so she can enjoy much more for much less. So visit any Flo retail outlet, call 1-800-804-2994, or visit discoverflow.co to find out more. One-of-a-kind connection. This is how we flow.
It's Thursday, September 8th, and this is your Barbados Day afternoon update. So glad you could join us. I'm Kamar Jordan. Our top story at this hour: flood watch is now in effect for the western and northwestern sections of the island until 6 p.m. today. The Barbados Meteorological Services says a combination of light winds, strong daytime heating, and an abundance of moisture are generating cloudy skies, some moderate to heavy showers, and isolated thunderstorms over the northern half of the island. Director of Met Services Hampton Lovell urges residents in flood-prone areas to exercise caution and remain on alert. Meantime, Labour Minister Dr. Esther Suku is happy to roll out the red carpet for investors seeking to set up operations in Barbados, but she cautions that they must be prepared to respect and work within the country's labour laws. Speaking at the start of an International Labour Organization workshop this morning at the Accra Beach Hotel, Suku stressed that while the island values foreign investment, the provision of decent work is a pillar of the Barbados economy, and there can be no compromise on labour standards.
I cannot stress enough the importance of all stakeholders, including MNEs, being attentive to our legislation. I would urge new players in this market to take the time to familiarize themselves with all of the relevant statutes. Care and attention should be placed, for example, on our labor legislation, such as the Safety and Health at Work Act and the Employment Rights Act, the town planning legislation, regulations pertaining to health, sanitation, and social security. But this is Barbados, and we cannot forget that much of our industrial relations is voluntaristic. And so, at the same time, I invite MNEs and other investors to review our Protocol 6 of our social partnership, and the new protocol that is also on its way, so that they understand the spirit, not just the letter, but the spirit of collaboration and mutual respect that underpins our relationships in Barbados.
The Barbados Secondary Teachers Union is still peeved over the decision of the Ministry of Education not to restore the pay docked from salaries of teachers who attended meetings held by the Barbados Union of Teachers last term. President Mary Redmond says the BUT is standing behind the BSTU, that should be, is standing behind the BUT and won't be intimidated. She contends it's an important issue with far-reaching implications for unions and says when the time is right, the ministry's actions will be put to the test.
We saw that as an attempt to break the backs of unions, to instill fear, to cause persons to be less willing to associate with their unions. And our members have seen it for what that is, and in terms of, as I said, trying to instill fear. And our members too are of the belief that that will not be a deterrent to them, and they are adamant that the strength of the union lies in fact in the membership. They recognize that the perception of strength in the union is very important for its continued existence and effectiveness, and they are willing to challenge that whole issue if and when the need arises.
Meantime, the union is reacting to government's promise to appoint temporary public servants as outlined by Finance Minister Chris Sinclair in his recent budget. Redmond tells reporters there's no need for any song and dance over the announcement, explaining that appointments should have occurred more than 8 years ago in keeping with the requirements under the Public Service Act. She says teachers are still anxiously awaiting word from the government.
Appointments is a bugbear. That issue is a bugbear for us. Too many of our members remain unappointed, and we spoke about the fact that they have concerns in relation sometimes to the composition of the panels that interview our members. In some instances, heads of department are left off the panel, as are the Situ Sab reps, and they should be on. There are concerns in relation to the fact that not in every instance, in too many instances I should say, their appointment is not being done by, let's call it, seniority in the temporary position. In other words, the persons acting longest should be the ones that are appointed first, and that is often not happening. So we have a problem with that. That is something that we are constantly attempting to address at the level of the ministry.
In other news, recent violent incidents are a big worry for the head of the Roman Catholic Church, Bishop Jason Gordon. And while he concedes there's no quick fix, he tells Barbados Today strong action must be taken on every front to correct the problem. The bishop is blaming the illegal drugs trade for the increase in gun crime and recommends that stiff measures be implemented to first deter people from getting their hands on guns. Bishop Gordon also says those who still manage to have guns must be made to feel the full weight of the law.
We have to make it difficult for people to use instruments of violence and get away with it. If they use it, they are apprehended. Then we have to make it difficult that the court process, because if somebody is charged and they're out on bail, that makes no sense. You've used an illegal gun or you've used a gun, we can establish the gun is illegal. That's a very straightforward legal matter. Let's deal with it that way, and then if it is murder, deal with murder after. And if it is something else, deal with that after. So that we start apprehending and convicting within a very short time frame. Drugs is a big part of this because drugs have the capacity to corrupt a society. And the money from drugs is also a big part of the problem that we have, and that's how the guns are coming in.
In sports, American swimmer Ryan Lochte has been banned from the sport for 10 months after falsely claiming he was robbed at gunpoint at the just-ended Rio Olympic Games. You may recall that the 32-year-old said he and 3 teammates were held up at a petrol station during a night out. But police questioned the account after CCTV footage showed the group had vandalized the petrol station. The USA Swimming and the U.S. Olympic Committee has also banned the 3 other swimmers involved.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Read all about it, read all about it. Get your paper, only $2.25, let's get your paper.
You again with that stale news from yesterday. I got the Barbados Today app on my phone and I just get my news for free.
What do she?
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To regional news now, Jamaican health authorities raised concern over an increasing number of women who are turning to rogue doctors to conduct abortions amid fear of the Zika virus and the resultant birth defect. Zika can cause microcephaly, a medical condition where a baby is born with a small head, which could later lead to developmental problems. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the ministry has taken note of the higher than usual rate of abortions in the country, but he says government is not considering relaxing abortion laws despite growing calls from some quarters. Member of Parliament for the Northwestern and Dr. Dayton Campbell has called for pregnant women who have tested positive for Zika to have the option to do an abortion. Up to Monday, Jamaica had 501 suspected cases of Zika among pregnant women. However, only 35 of these have been confirmed so far. On the international front, police in the West Texas town of Alpine said there's an active shooter situation and schools have been locked down amid the search for the suspect. According to Elizabeth Carter, a lieutenant at the Texas Department of Public Safety, a man brought a gun to the Alpine High School campus this morning, but it's still unclear whether anyone was hurt at the school. Well, that's news and sports at this hour. But for more, you can log on to www.barbadosday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper or email updates, or you can like us on Facebook. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals or Screenplay in supermarket or a gas station near you. You can also check us out on Channel 99, that's on Flow TV, or Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Kamar Jordan. It's wet out there, so please be careful.